We often in life have setbacks, but how do we turn those setbacks into lessons that help us not just survive, but thrive? Today, I have got an amazing guest with me. He is the founder of the Voice Your Vibe and one of LinkedIn's top video creators, Brian Schulman. Don't go away. We'll be right back. And welcome to Books with Bridgetti. If you've just joined us, whether you are watching us live on Facebook, on Twitter, over on YouTube or LinkedIn, a very, very warm, hearty welcome to you. Our stream today is made possible by StreamYard and Be Live Media. This is an audience-centric show. In other words, we are live. So if you want to ask us a question, myself or my amazing guest today, please feel free to go right ahead. And if this is your first time catching the show, we'd love to give you a shout out. Now, before I welcome my amazing guest onto the show today, I'm all about helping you level up on your online appearance. So I've got one or two tips that I want to share with you just before I bring up my amazing guest, Brian Schulman. Now, I know a lot of you authors are still, moving forward. Hybrid is the way that we're going to continue for the foreseeable future. And I know a lot of you who have got books and you want to advertise your books or your services, you go live simply with your phone, and there's nothing wrong with that. But a really, really, really quick tip that will make a significant difference is to hold your phone into landscape. And not hold your phone in portrait. If you want to know when you go live and you see those two black lines along your screen, that is why. Just turn your phone, go into settings, turn off the screen lock, turn your phone into landscape. It'll make a significant difference to your broadcast. Another really quick tip is to invest in a microphone. Now, you don't have to get a really, really big microphone. This is the Samsung condenser microphone. You don't need such a big microphone, but you do want to invest in something that's going to level up the quality of your sound. And you could invest in something like a lavalier microphone, but it'll make a huge difference if people can hear you clearly, because they will tune out if they have to strain somewhat. So those are just some really, really quick tips for you to level up on your online appearance. And now for my amazing guest today. I'm totally honored to have Brian Schulman as a guest. He's a globally recognized digital marketing expert and mentor. Brian is the founder and CEO of Voice Your Vibe. And amongst his many accolades, Brian is known as the godfather and pioneer of LinkedIn video. He has been recognized as the LinkedIn top voice, and also 3 times the top 50 most impactful people of LinkedIn out of 1 billion. So when it comes to knowing about his stuff about going online, Brian has earned his stripes as the godfather. He's also appeared on several platforms such as NASDAQ, Forbes, Thrive Global, and Roku TV. But the thing that strikes me about Brian the most, because a lot of people label themselves as experts, and Brian truly is an expert, but he comes from a different place. He has a heart-centered approach, and that is what has attracted me to Brian. One of the things that he says about himself is that of all his accomplishments that he's truly proud of, it's his children that he's the most proud of, and then the connections that he's made through online live streaming the way I have. And so please put your hands together and let's give a hearty warm welcome to my special guest, Brian. Brian.
Hello, my friend.
I love those glasses. Oh my goodness. Where did you get them?
They're Snapchat lenses. Yeah, they're Snapchat lenses. I have many of them, and many that friends have made actually for us. So
That's absolutely awesome. Oh my goodness. That's a very clever hack. That's a clever hack. So a lot of people um have started somewhere. Everyone has to start somewhere, and you have made some of the most phenomenal strides that I've seen online. The fact that you've been recognized by LinkedIn so many times is massive. Oh, by the way, I just have to tell you this. My one tiny insy bitsy little claim to fame with LinkedIn is that I was the first person in Africa to get access to LinkedIn Live.
hey, that's awesome.
It's
I
not
love
close to
it.
your achievement, but I thought I'd just throw that in there for the
No, it's
for the
wonderful.
conversation.
It's wonderful.
How, Brian, how did you get started on this roller coaster? I mean, my start to online was also something crazy, and I remember how when I first started, I had the sweaty palms and my heart used to beat in my chest. You know, I used to have this palpitations, and I used to like look at that mouse and think, I cannot click the mouse. I cannot. You know, I used to stare at the go live button so many times.
So true.
How did your journey start? Tell me a little bit, tell the audience a little bit about you. How did your crazy, successful journey get started?
Oh my goodness. It's such a great question. And first and foremost, I just want to say it's so wonderful to be here with you. And thank you so much for inviting me to be on your show. I love you and your heart and all that you do, and you shine your light on others in so many different ways. So I just wanted to let you know that that I appreciate you and all that you do.
Absolute pleasure. Now, there's so many comments out here. Everyone's just saying hello to you. So, um,
Aw, sending love to all of you. So I've been on LinkedIn every day for the last almost 2 decades. Believe it or not. And I was on LinkedIn when LinkedIn just got started. It was just about a year into the platform. There were about 1 million people on when I joined, and now there's what I would say close to 1 billion. There's about over 800 million now. That's close enough to 1 billion with the growth and trajectory that LinkedIn has had. And I've been a part of all of the launches, if you will, of different products that LinkedIn has. The major ones I look at being able to publish on LinkedIn with LinkedIn Pulse. I would say LinkedIn Video, LinkedIn Live would be the ones following that. And these were all, you have to be invited to be a part of these launches. And they were really astronomical and I would say extremely impactful to the platform and their success and growth. Since I've seen pretty much all of it in the last almost 2 decades. Now, LinkedIn Video, you know, was I guess let me back up for a second, because like when you talk about the accolades that you shared, right? Globally recognized live streaming video marketing expert, and all of the LinkedIn itself accolades, and the 2 global award-winning live shows, and the accolades go on, and I hear them and I sit there and go, wow, I would love to be like that person someday. That's pretty amazing. How do they do that? Because I don't think of me when I hear all that. It just doesn't make sense to me. But I came to LinkedIn with a purpose, and my purpose was to inspire one person a day. And I didn't know how I was going to do it. I just, in my gut, knew that it was a place I needed to be and show up, and that was where I wanted to make an impact. It wasn't going to be MySpace. It wasn't going to be Facebook. It wasn't going to be Twitter. It wasn't going to be. And I was on those platforms, but I really wanted to go all in here. And at that time, it was just a digital resume and a place to look for a job. There was no way to post. There was no way to DM. Like, that stuff didn't exist yet. So being a part of these product launches was terrifying. As well as, more times than not, I just had no idea what I was doing. And so I kind of launched from LinkedIn video, because that is where really I found a voice I never knew I had. So it started with an app update on my phone in June of 2018, if I recall right. Is that right? The dates blur together. COVID has really messed my mind up. So
I think it's unsafe for everyone.
yeah. So it's something like that. Yeah, I think it was something like that. And, or may have been 2017. Anyway, so a video icon popped up next to the camera icon on my phone. And my first thought was, oh, crap. Because I was literally terrified to get in front of the camera and make a video. And when I thought about it, I literally would break out into a sweat. My heart would be pounding, and I found it hard to breathe. I'm not kidding. Like, it was all of my fears. And what if my Tourette's came out? Because I have Tourette syndrome, which are uncontrollable tics and twitches. And usually you don't know that you're doing them. And again, they're uncontrollable. So my fear was, what if my Tourette's come out? What would others say? And the fear of not knowing who was I, and the fear of being exposed, and many, many more were paralyzing to me. And so I couldn't get myself in front of the camera, and I would fight with myself. I'm sure many of us have experienced this, right? And I would say, I'm going to do it. I want to do it. No, are you crazy? You're not doing this, but I think it's important, and it's leading to something big. Or is it? Okay, I'm going to do it. No, I'm not doing it. And so for 5 months, my mind wrestled with itself, not knowing what might happen while knowing all the things that could happen. And I was stuck, like in cement, and consequently, I did nothing. Now, I was confident and self-assured and educated in business, and I knew my role, and I walked into meetings knowing I was better at my job than most people because of who I was and how I did it. And because I obsessively prepared, and I connected with people, and I focused on relationships, and I cared. And I would put my suit on and stand at the head of the boardroom table with my, all eyes on me as I was in my element. I was like a superhero, but asked me to record myself on video, and I hid. And my voice left me. And so making a video meant going back to feeling insecure. Only it wasn't just a feeling, because I really didn't know a thing. Psychologically, physically, emotionally, mentally, technologically, I was brand new to this whole video thing. It was my kids I was taking videos of. It wasn't me on the other side of the camera. And so recording a video would be entering into this really vulnerable space. And think standing in that same boardroom but in superhero underwear, right? Underoos that I had when I was a kid instead of a tailored suit. And so I went from top of my game to a total rookie. And the fear for me was paralytic. However, stronger than fear was my faith. And faith that just as I had grown the skills to rock a boardroom or an international stage and speaking and make an impact, I was equally capable of growing the skills and learning what I needed to know to start making videos. Now, faith that everything happens for a reason, that the universe will always have my back. I saw the power that entering into this really vulnerable space would have, not only for me, but for others. And somehow I knew it. And every time I walked away from making a video, this thought would find me. And I knew in my gut it was important to just start. So I had to do this, right? And I'd already faced a lot in life, both right out of the gates to make it into this world, with many adversities along the way. But honestly, with love and with positivity and with faith and strength surrounding me, I conquered the fear that I had faced. So I was planning for a business trip that had me pretty tied up in all meetings all day, each day for 3 days. And I had decided, okay, now is the time to not only make one video, but 5 daily videos in a row. I don't know what I was thinking. I had no clue what I was going to talk about. And keeping the faith through the whole process, it happened. I knew that I didn't want it to be about business. And that was when it really hit me. I'm going to tell my personal story, which very few had ever heard. And I just need to show up and I just need to be me, but do it on video. So for the first time in my life, I was truly inspired to get in front of the camera. My bags were freshly packed for my trip the next day and was sitting in my chair at my home office. I pulled out my phone and I filmed and posted my very first LinkedIn video in front of, at that time, 500 million business professionals. And it went a little something like this. I'm always asked, how are you so positive every single day? How do you do it? And the answer is because I'm not supposed to be alive right now. I was born barely 1.5 pounds in 1975, living in an incubator for months and fighting for every day with wires attached to me and every breath to make it into this world. And I realized as a kid that I was different and I was small and I had uncontrollable tics and twitches. And I did not know what was wrong with me, and neither did the doctors. And I was finally diagnosed with Tourette syndrome when I was in 5th grade. And I decided to educate my classmates about Tourette syndrome, which was very scary. But I became empowered by my Tourette's and knowing I survived what others in the NICU did not. And I was resilient. And I hit post and I was completely paralyzed. I was terrified. And in my head, I'm having this conversation, right? What did I just do? What are people going to say? I was convinced I was going to lose my job. I was working for a company at the time. I have to delete this video. But when I opened the app to hit delete, I saw what others were saying in the comments, and I literally started to cry. And it was as if I had been given permission to let go of every fear I had been holding on to. The overwhelming love, support, and encouragement, Bridgetti, it literally changed my life forever. And finally, being different didn't feel like a bad thing. My second video was from the airport parking lot, still leery, sitting in my car, sweating from the heat and the nerves. I almost missed my flight because I shot 5 to 8 different videos. I made my flight. I posted the video, full days of meetings, and then immediately thinking, oh my God, what do I do for tomorrow's video? And I'm always reminding myself, okay, have faith. I can do this. You got this, right? So I made the next 2 videos around midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning on the same night, knowing I would not have time the next 2 days to do it any other way. I went as far as to change my clothes so it didn't look like that I made the videos at the same time in the same night. And I wasn't going to let myself down. So finally making it home late that Friday night, I kissed my family, my kiddos, my 2 monkeys, as I laid down, I thought to myself with relief, okay, 1 more video, 1 more and you're done. And after creating videos for years now, I've got to tell you, it's never been about the numbers for me. I've never made a video unless I was inspired by something or someone. Otherwise, it was not genuine, authentic, and therefore not me. And if I'm inspired, then I have the faith and the confidence in myself that I can inspire someone else. So faith that I've had, it's led me to continue creating, and making those, first 5 videos was one of the hardest things I've ever done. And it's also been one of the most rewarding.
Wow.
Because
so, Brian, I'm hearing from you that a lot of people tell me that they find LinkedIn hard and they struggle to get started. But what I'm hearing from you is that your heart-centric approach and being vulnerable is what actually led to your amazing success. Why do you think people are so afraid to be vulnerable, to be human? And as I often say to people talk about business to business, and kind of trade-offs in doing business, but how about human to human? Because I'm getting that is what your approach is. It's more human to human and heart to heart, um,
Yeah.
than focusing on the business so much.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And while I was terrified to make videos, because I was seeing other creators, and there were just a handful, if you will, of us at the time, and when the beta launched, um, it was so inspiring to see other creators sharing their stories. And but the stories, Bridgetti, this is what was so inspiring, right? Because I had been on a platform for so long, everyone was showing up and talking about business, right? It'd be posting and all that stuff, right? And but when video launched on LinkedIn, it was very heartfelt, personal, vulnerable stories, fear, failure, agoraphobia, rape. I mean, I'm talking very personal stories from people's hearts that they were sharing. And we had never heard anything like this before on LinkedIn. And for the first time ever, LinkedIn became human with a heartbeat because it was personal, right? People do business with people they like, know, and trust. And it's I always say it's the heart of it all that matters. And if you put your heart into, right, showing up. And I was thinking about that, and that's what inspired me to get vulnerable and make that first video, right? I will tell you, like, if I hadn't received all that love, support, and encouragement, I don't know what I would have done. Maybe I would have deleted the app. Maybe I would have said, no, I'm not going to do this. But I felt that I needed to start, right? Just like everything else I've experienced, in helping to build and grow startups over 20 years, there was never a known entity. It was, you don't know where it's going to go. You just got to take the leap. What's the worst thing that happens? You learn, you grow, you lose a little bit of time, but you actually don't lose time because of all that you're learning, right? You learn from the pitfalls. That's where you really learn. It's not the successes. You learn from all the times you fall down. And by getting up every time, that's when you succeed. And so to me, in my head, that's how I was able to start and start and start and start. Because to me, every time I made a video, it was the first. Because I was just always so uncomfortable. There was no, yeah, the excitement of it that happened eventually for me, and it was through the process. But to your point, Bridgetti, I think we all have, and I do have a degree in psychology. I'm not going to get all psychobabble on you, but I think as humans, we fear so much, right? We fear what other people say about us, what they think about us. We fear things mostly that are in our heads, right? We're our own worst critics. And so I think that, the starting and the fear of sharing and the fear of, right? LinkedIn is a business social networking platform. That predisposition exists, right? But that's like X number one, right? Family Feud survey says, no, it's like Facebook is for friends and your old roommates and family, right? And Twitter is, yeah, kind of a mutt. YouTube is definitely a mutt, et cetera, right? And yet you think business, so up in your proverbial suit, talk about business. And that's what I think trips people up. And so if you realize that while it's a business social networking platform, it is human with a heartbeat first. And people need to get to know you and fall in love with you before all the other stuff happens. And by the way, all the other stuff will happen. It's that building a digital relationship that I think people just don't understand how to do. And it's something that I mastered very early on when I realized, hey, it's the same thing. It's like, Bridgetti, you
So,
and I have
Brian,
been together.
I'm gonna interrupt you there.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
I mean, I get the whole digital thing, but can you explain to people what is the fundamental difference between creating? I mean, you and I have never met in person, and yet I feel like we're friends. And if I saw you in person, I'd just give you a giant big hug.
yes.
Um, so why is it that people who ordinarily wouldn't have difficulty in meeting each other face to face have such a hard time, a really, really, really hard time connecting on camera the way you and I are doing?
Because of all those fears, because of the word vulnerable, because of what are people going to think, because of all the things that are in your head saying, no, you can't, right? And I experienced all of those things, Bridgetti. I mean, anything and everything you would possibly think you'd experience, the worst of the worst, like I've been through it all. But you have to push through that wall, right? And I think the beauty about it, Bridgetti, is we as the OG creators, if you will, right? We saw that mountain that was standing there, that there was no way to walk around. We had to literally charge up it and start chopping it down in the middle to create a pathway, right? That they lay foundation on and then walk on once it was dry and say, hey, come on, we can do this together, right? And that's exactly what we did. Bill Bradford gives great hugs. That's exactly what we did. And Bridgetti, it's been the most incredible experience. And what you said, it's so true. We have built these incredible relationships digitally here where we haven't met one another for years. And then we go and meet one another in person for the very first time. And it is like meeting your best friend for the very first time. And you literally hug each other and you can't let go. Like it's the most incredible thing ever. And video has, if you grab on to this incredible experience that awaits you and just start and get comfortable being uncomfortable and know that by doing that and by getting vulnerable, you don't have to share your whole life. It's not about that, right? It's just knowing that as humans, we want to relate to one another. The last number of years, Bridgetti, in this pandemic has completely thrown us all off, right? We were living up here pre-pandemic, and we've been living here with our chest cracked open and our hearts beating wide, right? And looking at the world in all its facets in such a different experience, in such a different way. And so that's how we need to connect with one another. We're not out of this pandemic, by the way, okay? But when we do come out of this, we're not going to stop living here. Those businesses, those people that are showing up the way they were pre-pandemic are going to fall in the vine and die. Those that are living from their heart and coming from their heart and giving from their heart, showing up from their heart and supporting one another from their heart are the ones that are going to succeed, the businesses that are going to thrive and flourish because they realize that at the end of the day, all of these tribes, right, that show up, right? Every brand has a tribe. Every company is a tribe. Every creator has a tribe. It happens by showing up. It happens by shining your light on others. It happens by creating this ginormous hug around one another, right? And so I think that's the most important part, is that it's the human, it's the heart, and it's the focus on others. And when you do that, right, the most incredible things happen. And video, I will tell you, it will change. And I say video, right? Video, live streaming is video, right? As well as, what you're all used to. And hey, I'm going to go and hit record and stop, right? So whether it's live or pre-recorded video is video, and it'll present so many incredible opportunities by just showing up and being you and sharing you and knowing that, if Bridgetti and I both love red, right? I'm going to be like, hey, Bridgetti, you love red. Like, that's awesome. And we have a connection point. Or you love dogs, you love cats, you love hiking, you love whatever it may be, right? Those are the things that connect us. Yes, it's our hearts and it's the stories and those things we love, or as I call vibes, that connect us all. And if you just think about those vibes that you love, right? And just because that's your passion, that's what you're excited about. Like you and I, we love live streaming, right? We love broadcasting. We love bringing people together. We love sharing stories and just letting it flow. Because when you let it flow like that, that's when the magic happens. So I think with video, whether it's pre-recorded or live streaming, you know, if you just start, you don't have to have it all together. You don't have to have all your branding. You don't have to know what it is. You don't need anything but you, because your tribe is out there waiting for you to show up. All you have to do is start. And you'll evolve over time. You don't have
Yeah,
to know where it's going to go. You just have to start.
absolutely. I totally agree with you. And I wanted to pick up on something that you mentioned earlier, because I think that seems to be a barrier to entry for a lot of people because they don't get it.
Yeah.
You mentioned that being vulnerable is not about wearing your heart on your sleeve. And there's a difference. There's a fine line between vulnerable and wearing your heart on your sleeve. It's the vulnerability part, the part of being human, that is going to get your foot into the door and that's
Yes.
going to make people connect with you, especially on LinkedIn. I mean, the transformation on LinkedIn has just been phenomenal. You know, I've been on LinkedIn for probably about 20 years. But, you know, the old LinkedIn and the new LinkedIn is like two completely different platforms. You know, people used to
So
hop
much.
onto LinkedIn when they were looking for a job. That's what we
Yes.
did in the old days.
Yes.
Um, you know, we didn't really connect with one another because there was no means of really having these heart-centered conversations with one another.
That's right.
And that's the difference, and that's what I think we're encouraging people to embrace. I want to segue a little bit into your journey, um, more from a business perspective and becoming an author. Tell me a little bit about that. How did you get your toes dipped into becoming an author? um, you know, a lot of people still are hesitant to get into writing. And I love what you've done is, you know, a great way to enter into this journey of becoming an author is to become a collaboration author. Um, Tell us a little bit about how you got started, and I want to know a little bit about the one that we wanted to focus on today is the 13 Steps to Riches Volume 3, which is the
Yeah.
auto-suggestion one. I want to talk a bit about that as well.
Yeah, you got it. So, and I bring it all back to video and something that you said, which was LinkedIn. It's such a different place than when it was, you know,
Mm.
what I would say just a handful of years ago, and that's because of LinkedIn Video. LinkedIn Video flipped the platform on its head, and now you feel the vibes on the platform. It is very heart centric, and it's what brings so many people together. So it has created the opportunities of being here today, of talking about these, you know, best-selling books and all of these
Oh, Brian,
things.
just hold that book. I want to put you onto full screen so you can hold up that beautiful cover.
Okay, you got it.
There we go. It's
There
an
we go.
awesome cover.
Yeah, it is. It is. And so making those first 5 videos, while it was the hardest thing, it was rewarding because from the fear and start of that journey, it's I've traveled the world. I've been given the privilege of being international keynote speakers, best-selling authors, being able to collaborate, which by the way, that's my jam. Like I love collaborating. It was what I did from the very beginning, one of the first collaborators on LinkedIn and bringing people together because as I always say, incredible things happen when we come together. This was not me that started this. Like all credit to Eric Swanson for thinking up the idea and for bringing so many together and creating an opportunity that would impact and change the lives of so many. Um, you know, creating 2 global warming LinkedIn live shows that are, you know, across multiple platforms and intimate, vulnerable conversations with people whose lives have changed because we met, and who my life has changed so much because of that, and the inspiration and the gift of strength and hope and faith and all of those things, right? Um, Video has presented all of these opportunities that have presented themselves in my life. So the 13 Steps to Riches is based on the principles of Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And each book is a principle, which is why there's 13 books. Now, I was brought into this incredible collaboration because of showing up on video, because of being a international keynote speaker, because that's where I met these people, right? If I didn't show up on video, it wouldn't have presented opportunities for me to travel and become an international keynote speaker and collaborate with other speakers and incredible summits and stages all over the world. And meeting those people presented the opportunity to be a part of these incredible books. And so the 13 Steps to Riches AutoSuggestion is one that it's very close to my heart. And I titled my chapter, Incredible Things Happen When We Come Together. And it is literally all about the global award-winning shows that we have, What's Good Wednesday and Shout Out Saturday, which, by the way, if you click on this little QR code, it'll actually take you to my and Nancy Deborah's Linktree page where all the links are in terms of understanding what's going on with the shows, and if you want to get Voice of Vibe merchandise and just all that kind of stuff. But it's created the opportunity for us to be able to bring people together in a way that honestly I never could have imagined. The shows are not about me. They were always about others. It was, how can I bring other people together? How can I shine the light on others and bring people together? And so I think the thing is that, people, I'm going to share some of this from the book. And people revisit memories, people revisit places that make them feel happy and uplifted. Then that blissful feeling comes from, this prior association that lives way up here in our subconscious. And tapping into the power of that subconscious allows us to deliver really profound messages that are encoded through the different successes and the results in what is AutoSuggestion. And AutoSuggestion is really built from creating a total sensory experience. And it taps into each of our individual emotional responses, and it evokes feelings and evokes a subconscious connection. And when you think about business, AutoSuggestion is a tool of advertising. It's a way to get people to buy something. So what have you actually considered thinking about the possibility that, this AutoSuggestion could sell people on themselves? And using the power to help people combat that negative thoughts that we have in our mind and feeling less alone and increase that self-confidence and that connection to one another. If you think about smells, right? It's kind of like music, right? Music and smells take you right back to an immediate instant. It's like you're being warped right to where you were, and you can see and smell and taste everything.
They do.
Right?
They do.
Right?
I never thought of AutoSuggestion in that sense. You've just kind of jogged my memory. It's all around us, actually.
It is. It is. The smell of Thanksgiving, fresh cookies, a fire in the fireplace, right? Why do those things make us smile, right? Smelling a skunk, it makes you break out in hives, right? Why it's important that success isn't simply success, but it's emotional too, and how we create that and how it's intentional. And so emotion and feeling are what leave lasting impressions. Maya Angelou said it best: people may forget what you say, but they'll never forget how you make them feel. Right. And so these shows are all about the feels that we have together. And so, yeah, Shout Out Saturday, What's Good Wednesday. They're the result of intentionally creating a space that connects emotions and experiences together. And the aim was just to leave people feeling better than they felt before after joining us. We had, we talk about this in the book, we had a 4-year-old, we call her Kay, because we didn't want to expose 4 years old, right? 4-year-old Kay, and she was drawing pictures all day. And she came on the show with her dad, and she said, these are for our friends on the homework. And homework is what she calls it when she's on the computer. And it was the most adorable thing ever, Bridgetti. And she said, and her dad said, it's so cute, and we have so much fun with you all. And it was confirmation that we're creating the types of memorable experiences that make people feel or go, I would say, from strangers to family, from outsiders to part of a community. And that experience that inextricably intertwines with emotion, creating a subconscious that really brings us together, leads the guests and the audience members like Kay and her dad back to the show week after week. And these moments, they not only link the experience to emotion individually, but for everyone involved, watching, commenting, settling deep into that subconscious mind we were talking about, right? And we invite all of our guests, we talk about all of this in the chapter, we invite all of our guests to the show who start in the comments that say, I can't. And then with the support and encouragement of the community, the positive vibe tribe, they step out of their discomfort and they achieve something they never thought they could have imagined. And that's the power of autosuggestion that transforms their fear of being live in front of a camera into confidence and assurance. And that was an underlying tone from the very beginning, because I know what I went through. And I'm like, okay, well, let's make it fun. And their subconscious being fueled by the feeling of success and triumph they've experienced. So due to the nature of the show, as we talk about in the book, that interaction between the audience and the guests leads to this collective autosuggestion. And anyone can come on live on the show, Bridgetti. And having being a part of someone else's emotional experience, people come on and share things they've never shared before, knowing that they can find the same connection. And week after week, there are regulars who not only radiate positive vibes towards others, but are willing to receive in return because they feel comfortable. And the community is not only...
It becomes a safe space for them, because they see that you're being authentic. It almost gives them permission to be themselves, their real selves. And so when they're talking to you, they're not coming with a business hat. They're not coming with that protective gear on that they walk into the boardroom.
Yes.
They can just be who they truly are.
Yes. And I would tell you too, like the show's the whole point was to bring out the inner kid in everyone, because that's where your creativity lives in life, in business, in anything, right? When you're playing with your parent, when you're playing with your kids, you're a kid. I have two incredible children that I love more than anything on this planet. My daughter just finished her junior year at Berkeley. My son just finished his freshman year at Princeton. They're incredible. And they inspire me every single day. And I have always it's like being Peter Pan, right? I don't ever want to grow up. And I always infuse that in everything, right? Because business is supposed to be fun. It doesn't need to be all right, let's go do this thing. Yeah, here we go, sign this thing. And no, come on, let's have some fun together. Life is precious, right? This COVID pandemic, fear was heightened. We're forced in physical separation in every form and fashion from our loved ones, our communities, our partners, uncertainty was the only constant and forced from our usual mind-based decisions, right? Making into emotion created this unique opportunity to positively impact people worldwide. And live streaming, both business and personal, became known. It was visible like red is, right? You buy red, you see red everywhere. And the power of autosuggestion to help people believe in themselves, Bridgetti, people realizing that they're part of a community that cheers them on and supports them, a ripple effect is created by that. And it spreads from one person to another in a positive way versus COVID in a negative way, right? So
absolutely, it just takes one person to open up their arms. I've always, before COVID, and before chronic pain took such control of my life, I used to love walking down the main road in town, and I used to purposely connect with people. I used to make a connection eye to eye, and it's amazing what effect it had on people. The people would, they feel recognized, and they would smile. I used to intentionally smile at people.
yes.
And because I did it with such intention that people used to, almost be startled and they'd smile back.
Yes.
It's amazing, but you've got to make the connection.
Isn't that incredible though, Bridgetti? If you think about that, right? Like, think about it now. You're walking down the street, right? You have this natural thing of kind of going this way, if I'm looking at the screen, right? And going, you may wave, you may smile, right? Smiling is a gift. Like, everyone has their own unique smile. And just not saying a word, it is a global, powerful, heartfelt, truly incredible experience that we can have one another. I mean, I remember seeing a video on TikTok, and it was two African-American guys and this like baby, Like, so 2 screens, right? And the baby is watching the video, and you see these guys, and they're just stone cold, like, just like this. And the baby's watching it, right? And all of a sudden, these 2 guys have the biggest white teeth smile you could ever imagine. I mean, it's like you can't help but smile. And the baby just lights up, right? Like the power of a smile. No one said anything. It's a gift. It's a gift we all have. And it's a gift we can all share with one another. And the power of a smile will light, you never know what someone is going through. The power of a smile can change someone's life, right? Sharing our lives with one another, whether it's publishing a book, showing up from the parking lot before a graduation, waiting to celebrate or wanting to celebrate someone, or asking for prayers and support when a loved one is sick. That exemplifies collective autosuggestion. It's the reason why a member of my team, Nancy Deborah in the comments, my co-host on these shows, my business partner as well, was unwilling to go away because finding her home, her happy place, felt like finding herself. And neither my team nor I knew we were missing her, nor did she know that she was missing us. But that feeling when we were together, it's left a lasting impression in our subconscious minds. And feelings and emotions, it's all about the feels, right? Feels build brand loyalty. I mean,
absolutely.
It's incredible.
Oh my gosh. Brian, I want to ask you, would you mind reading something out of your book?
I would love to. All right. So I'm gonna actually pull it up and open it up here. I have a digital copy as well, which might be better because then you'll be seeing it. So I'll do that. Okay. Feelings and emotions build brand loyalty. Being a part of something, feeling like we belong, being recognized and empowered, feeling less alone because of the connection made and the sense of community drives people to help others feel the same. We talked about the ripple effect, so we'll skip that. But because of our live shows, guests physically or mentally isolate from the outside world, we're being able to reconnect again. Autosuggestion allows them to feel like themselves again and to have a sense of normalcy in these very abnormal times. This message comes from the subconscious telling them, Shout Out Saturday and What's Good Wednesday are my semblances, and of normality, my happy places. It's comforting to others to offer guests who are fragile a soft place to land and a beautiful way to be loved. They will return as many times as necessary because a subconscious link is created between what they feel and they can experience. In contrast with advertising and marketing, where the message is created to enchant a specific audience, we use autosuggestion on the shows as a tool of growth by creating memorable experiences. Individual experiences are amplified by the relationships and bonds formed by showing up as yourself with your unique needs and circumstances. A strong emotional connection is created where people express unconditional love and acceptance, meeting people right where they are in the moment. A sense of belonging to something greater creates brand loyalty, with the added bonus that each individual feels empowered to help others. A lasting impression is created when people show up to support and encourage by sharing tears and laughter, and by inviting others into a global family where no one feels judged, alone, or inadequate. You're invited to bring your negative feelings, and we'll accept them, but ultimately we'll infuse them with positivity in order to create a subconscious connection between them and the emotions they evoke. Through making sure beloved traditions were preserved, the Halloween episode, childhood experiences weren't lost, the Christmas episode, and celebrating milestones, weddings, birthdays, graduations, losses, we're able to harness the power of positive autosuggestion to help people transform their thinking, adding emotion and feeling with the desire to not miss important events and create memories equals autosuggestion, and finding reasons to celebrate. The goal to spread happiness and unite the community. A chance to feel like being a part of something big and experiencing the joy whether it's for the good of a cause or a distraction. International Dance Day, Red Nose Day. Every show intentionally feeds the subconscious, much like marketing would, to create a connection between the experience and the emotional response, which in turn fosters loyalty, creating opportunities for people to feel freed, even if for only one moment, of the burdens and responsibilities of adulthood. And while the shows are about full force funness and letting ourselves be adults who play and find their inner child, we have room for everything and everyone. We welcome the negative. While I can't remove the realities the Positive Vibe Tribe lives with in getting stuck, we provide a safe space for reprieve. And just for a few moments, they can smile before they go back to whatever weighs on their hearts. And while it's inevitable, when you have the honor and privilege of positively impacting the life of another human being, you transform yourself as a result. I get to be there when those aha moments happen that spark a flame that lasts well beyond the shows. And it's not something I do for myself. Every week, creating a space for others who need it, a place for people to be. We've seen it and felt it and been told it, and know that it's like what it's like to feel like you don't have a community. Living on a proverbial island, feeling alone, left out, unwanted, and the need to be cherished. And giving to them is at least equal to their giving to me.
Wow, Brian, thank you. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being vulnerable. I think prior to the pandemic, a lot of people were not able to voice that they were struggling with mental health issues. But it's almost as if a gift of the pandemic was giving people permission to be human again, to say that they were struggling, and it became okay to say that you are struggling. And so I think, what you just read was so heartfelt, and it will touch people who needed to hear that, because a lot of people are struggling post pandemic, and it's not going to go away anytime soon. This is something that's going to carry on for years before we can say that we feel better, or we feel okay, or we feel that we've recovered, or we've pulled through. But it's these kind of heart-centered stories that are so relatable, and we never know how our story can impact the life of another person. We never know. We never know. As you said, sometimes it's a smile, just that smile that acknowledges another human. You never know what that'll do for a person. And oftentimes we don't want to be vulnerable or share our stories. Um, but you don't know. You don't know what people live with. And it could actually save somebody's life, because sometimes it's just that tipping point for somebody, and they've read your story and they think, wow, that's me. I can relate to that. And if Brian did that, oh my goodness, so can I,
It's
and it's
it's
that
it's
connection that's so powerful.
it's so true, Bridgetti. And I don't talk about these things a lot because I don't I don't think that I don't feel that they need to be. Um, Let me explain. I get direct messages a lot from people who literally share what you just said. That my videos or live shows have like saved them from harming themselves or taking their lives. Um, I Alvin, this guy's amazing. Um, you know, and you said something else too. You never know what someone is going through, and just to put it into context, because I love stories and I think they're so impactful. Um, I remember a friend of mine, early days of LinkedIn video, showed up, and he usually does them from his car, but he had sunglasses on at the time, and he usually doesn't. And he says, I have sunglasses on today and I need to keep them on or else I don't think I can get through this video. And it was literally happenstance that I happened to come across it in my feed. And he starts talking about his mom who has breast cancer and what they went through. And I'm watching this video and I'm bawling. And I picked up the phone and called him. And I couldn't speak because I was so choked up by his vulnerability. And I was eventually able to start speaking. And I said, brother, I cannot tell you how much I needed to see that and hear that. And I said, because my mom is going through breast cancer now. And we had an incredible conversation together. We laughed, we cried. And I needed that in that moment. And the universe provided me him and his story and his video and that feeling that I needed and to let go, right? Because I had been holding on to all of that stuff. So to your point, Bridgetti, in any form of video, live or pre-recorded, sharing moments, and we've shared so many of those vulnerable moments together on the show where we're literally laughing together, and then something happens, and that person right here who's never cried on live before breaks down because they were feeling something in that moment, and we literally just put a halt on where we were going with the show, and we had silent moments so that they could feel and cry. And so others would support. We had others come on the show and share stories as well. We literally went off the rails of the show because it needed to happen. That time, that moment, that space was meant to be for that conversation, those feels, and what they were experiencing. And to be able to give people a place and a space that is safe and brave and courageous and supportive and loving and caring. And what you said is so important, Bridgetti. People are having and will continue to have such a hard time getting back into the world, in work, in life, because of everything that we've gone through. And yet, if every brand, every business, every human, every heartbeat truly comes from here and says, Bridgetti, talk to me. I feel this, that you're having a hard time. This is a safe space. You can share, because I know, that's not something that's quote unquote normal. You fear sharing things like that because it might affect your job, because, but those that truly embrace that, your employees, your people, your tribe will become the most loyal people that you've ever had, and they'll never leave because you're showing that you care as a human. You're not doing it because of social good. You're not doing it because you have to, right? You're truly taking the time to listen, to feel, and to embrace that other human with a heartbeat. And it will change all of the lives involved by doing that. If you truly do it, that's the key, is if you truly do it.
Absolutely. And Brian, one of the reasons I have become so passionate about this platform that we call live streaming is because it's so completely different from television. Television is one-way broadcasting. You sit there and you watch other people talk and spew information at you. But this is different. This is so different. It's a two-way conversation, and we can be anywhere in the world. We're continents away, but it doesn't feel like that. It really
No.
doesn't feel like we're continents away. With my chronic illness, I had to react from society mostly. And I often tell people live streaming saved me from myself. I don't have time to feel lonely because with live streaming, I've been able to connect myself with other people and other people with each other. But the most joy I've received was the ability to connect communities online, to connect
Yes,
other people, and to see the impact it's had on their lives. The ability to impact other people's lives through this medium we call live streaming has been phenomenal. And what you mentioned earlier is because we are the producer, we've got complete control over everything. We don't have a gazillion people behind us. So if somebody mentions something in the comments or somebody comes in, we've got control. We can take it in whichever direction we choose. And if somebody needs that moment, it's entirely up to us. And that's the beauty of live streaming.
it is.
Oh
It's a
my
gift.
goodness.
It's a gift. It's changed my life, Bridgetti. I have had so many moments of down through this pandemic. I have had so many moments of I can't. I have had so many moments. I mean, I remember Tim, my former producer, you know, getting ready to start a show, and I said, I I'm so depleted. My heart is so heavy because of everything that's happening in the world. I need you. I need your help. And vice versa. We've ping ponged those things. Nancy, Deborah, and I have had the same things. And, it goes back to the fact that these moments that we have, where we create, produce, host these shows, that we all do, this incredible live streaming community, it's, like I said, this has not ever been about for me. It's as I know for you, it's creating this space for others. And, you know, having that sense, feeling that sense of community. And again, we've all felt like we've lived on an island and have felt alone and left out and unwanted and the need to be cherished. I mean, when I was sharing those things with you, that was me. There was many, but it was me too. And what I have received from others has been, gosh, so impactful. So impactful. So I think the benefits from our community, and I say our collectively, and what we receive are they not only do they keep others coming back, they keep us coming back, and
Yeah,
that connectedness and the support and the love and the community, and the feels, I think, and what we're feeling, what we're excited about, and they make us walk away feeling better. And I believe that while this, and I always look at it as a silver lining, which is what's Good Wednesday is all about, is that there's always something good, right? Especially during the last couple of years, it's that we can come
yeah,
together, right? And so the silver lining for us during this pandemic is it allowed us to create a way and a space to bring people together. People that have had COVID, people that have been depressed, people that it goes on, right? And a space to be able to feel that, but to feel that they're not alone. And I think that is so incredibly powerful and a gift
it is.
we all have just been able to. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful because of it.
Me too, Brian. Me too. I tell you, my heart has been made happy so many times just because of the ability that we have to use this medium to uh, to help other people. It's never been. I can tell from you, it's never been about you. It's about helping people out there, and it's been the same for me. It's never been about me. When I first started, and I was so fearful of the camera and hitting that go live button, it it was the community that I could serve that gave me the energy and the strength to overcome my fears. And there
That's
were
it.
many. Even though they were in my head, there were many.
No, you're right. You're right. That's it. Because I had such a big hard time with that. But I flipped the script in my head and reminded myself that while I may be sharing vulnerable stories, because I hate talking about myself, I had to say, no, it's not about you. You're sharing these stories because just like my friend sitting in his car, I needed to hear that. That's it. You're sharing the stories because there is one person out there that needs to hear that story, whether they've been through it, relate to it, they need to feel that. And that's it. It's the feels.
Yeah.
So we're all flooded with those feelings that are associated with helping, celebrating, virtually holding someone's hand, and
Yeah.
being transformed because of it. And this gift that we have is people choose to revisit the places and the memories that make them feel
Yeah.
happy and uplifted and you know emotion and
Supported.
feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's what leaves lasting impressions, right?
Yeah.
Because of that feeling they have. They crave it, they want it.
Absolutely.
Just
Absolutely.
just like
Brian,
we do.
thank you so much, my friend. This was amazing. I think we could talk for hours.
Yeah, I think so too. But you're wonderful, Bridgetti. I
And
so appreciate you.
I just want to give a huge, big shout out to Nancy and everyone else who's joined us live today. A huge, big thank you to each one of you. This was amazing. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your comments. Totally appreciate it. And please go and grab a copy of Brian's book. It is in the carousel if you are watching us over on Amazon Live. Brian's book. Brian, I'm going to just put you on full screen again for a second so you can hold up that book.
Yes, 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 yes.
Um,
And there are over 33 incredible authors in this book. The stories are amazing. They will change your life. They're all so incredibly heartfelt. And I'm honored to be a part of this incredible collaboration and to be able to shine the light on all of you, LinkedIn fam, Positive Vibe Tribe, all of you, because you've changed my life. This book was for you. So just thank you.
big, big pleasure. Thank you, everyone. Brian, we definitely need to do this again at some point. Thank
That
you,
is
my
it.
friend. It was great having you. Thanks, everyone. Take care, and we'll see you on the next episode of Books with Bridgetti.
Love to you all.